Dr. Akiva Gam-Nobel, Dean of Jewish Studies at the Nanook Torah Institute, LLC. Welcome to Passover, the last 6 days of Rabbi Jesus' life on earth. This is our textbook. We're going to look at chapter 3 in just a minute. We'd like to invite you to pick up a copy. There's a lot of material that's really good, and we won't be able to cover everything on the videos. Now, dear ones, this is a strange topic for a religious studies class group, computers. Dear ones, today in the modern computer age, those of you that are receiving this video are doing so through a computer. 30 years ago, it was much different. And I just look back on those days when I got my first computer. It was a Macintosh computer, and the things that you could do, it was just astounding to me. And even today, the things that you can do with a computer is really amazing. I bought some software back in the mid-'80s, and it allowed me to put the 4 different books of the Testament side by side. So I had Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, all side by side, and I could read through the story. Now, many of you may not be aware of this, but about 30 to 40% of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John is about the last 6 days of Rabbi Jesus' life. And so when I began doing this, the first thing that I wanted to do was to try to find out, well, what day was Rabbi Jesus? What day was the Passover? What evening was the Passover? So I could kind of build a timeline. And I found that very challenging because there was so much material that I needed to research and check out. But having a computer helped make it much easier. Now today, in our world of computers, it astounds me that there's individuals that still have nothing to do with them. I live in an area, the Rebbitzin and I live in an area where so many people don't even have a computer. It's really amazing. But anyway, so we got into this study. I had a brand new computer, and I started doing my research, and I recorded my research notes, and it was just fabulous. Today, we're so beyond where that was 30 years ago. And so today we can go on the internet, we can read about just almost any subject, we can follow congregations on the internet. You can watch certain congregations broadcast events. You can watch these events online. It just is absolutely amazing. So in this world of modern technology, and we can do so much with it, we want to encourage our classmates to, in our group, to use the computer to check out what we're saying, what we're talking about. If you have questions, please send us an email, text messages. We don't mind having questions. You can post them in the blog also if you choose to do so. Now, there's really not a lot more I want to say about computers other than it was quite expensive to own a computer 30 years ago and to buy the software. And one of the things that I think about when it comes to Passover is there are costs involved. So we're going to move away from the computers now for a little while, and we're going to discuss the costs of Passover. The very first Passover that I observed, I wanted to do it in a proper way, and I was living in the just outside of the observant community, and so I went to Kmart and I purchased the least expensive pots and pans that I could find. And when you don't have a lot of money, things can be expensive if you're working hard and you have a lot of expenses, and so making a little extra room for that sometimes is difficult. And that's why I wanted to share about the cost of Passover right here in chapter 3. Okay, it's good to sit down and to plan out a menu, to plan out a meal for the days of Passover. You're going to need, unleavened bread, matzah, and you're going to need probably perhaps some chickens or some turkeys or some brisket. So it's really necessary to plan this out. These are things that are normally kosher for Passover, what I just mentioned. However, there's a lot of items that are not kosher for Passover. For example, our normal pots and pans that we use every day. For example, our forks, knives, spoons, and our utensils, our dishes and our glasses, all of those are not kosher for Passover. Passover has an elevation to it. It's the highest elevation of kashrut in a Jewish year because we're eliminating chametz. We usually have challah on Erev Shabbat day, but challah has leaven in it, and so leaven is not acceptable at Passover. So what I'm suggesting is to begin looking down the road a little bit and start thinking about what kind of foods that you like, and use your computer, go online, and try to begin purchasing some of these things, these items, so that when Passover comes, it won't be devastating as far as the cost is concerned. Thank you for joining with me.